Hello and welcome to the University of Law. In today's video I am going to be unboxing and reviewing this, which is Doctor Who Families. It's the latest box set for the first Doctor Companion Chronicles. Interestingly, it's got the number 1 on the side, which I hadn't noticed before. Obviously there's been several boxes before. Maybe this is the first of this new range, maybe, I'm not sure. What's great is that this set has the overarching theme of families. I guess this is the first of a new scheme where we have more of the original cast involved than you might see with some of the by its nature, the recast stuff. What's sad, obviously, is that we've no longer got the great William Russell as Ian, but we've still got some great companions here. Also, this is a 4 CD set. There's 4 stories, which I do like. I do like getting more stories. I miss the old 4 story boxes. The 3s are still good. I think it's just I'm being greedy and I want more, which is a testament. You hear those 3 stories and it's not enough because they're all so good, and you want another slice of it. But here we've got 4, and they're 4 great stories, which I'll go through in a second. They've all got the theme families, which I will talk through in a moment. So let's get this unwrapped. I think for me the most anticipated ones were the Stephen story and the Susan story, and I'll talk you through how I found those in particular, because they were the ones I was looking forward to, and I'll maybe start with those in a second. But one of the reasons I go for the CDs is that you can really appreciate the artwork when it's printed. Like, I hadn't noticed the Hartnell theme behind. This is a great image. This looks like Planet of Giants, doesn't it? Here, it's definitely a season 2 image. So yeah, let's get it open. I'll go through it in story order. They're not in order. They're not in any particular order, I don't think. I guess the Susan one could have gone at the beginning or the end. Otherwise, they're all in order for the Doctor. And here we go, the classic font there. You notice it does say Stephen Noonan, who is obviously the first Doctor from the recast sets. He does a really good Hartnell, and he's in 2 of the 4 stories. So here we've got the Temple of Light, which I really enjoyed. It's a Vicky story. It definitely fits into that kind of early Hartnell era. It definitely feels like it could have a lost story from season 2. It's Vicky on her own, but there's a really good reason for why she's on her own, so it doesn't feel forced. There's some really interesting concepts around time and time passing differently in different places. And I'd like to be as spoiler-free as possible, but there is a twist, and you kind of... There's a light bulb moment, and there's a little hint there. If for those of you who know, there's a light bulb moment where you start to work out what's happening. But to me, that's a sign of a clever story, that you start to work it out as the characters are working it out. So yeah, I enjoyed that. It was a good strong start to the set. We got some pictures of the cast there, and then we have our second episode, Stardust and Ashes. So this is Susan's story. I'm gonna have to give some spoilers away. It's set for Susan after the events of To the Death. So the 8th Doctor is gone. Alex has passed away with Lucy Miller, and she's left with kind of nothing. Her husband, her son, it's all gone. She remembers a story from long ago, from that kind of season 1 era. It's always nice while we've got Caroline Ford available to do these stories to kind of get that harking back to that earliest run of stories. It did have that season 1 feel, or certainly that kind of short trip feel. You know, those short trips we used to get before they were recasting back in the early noughties, where you'd kind of get an actor from that kind of era reading you a story of the first Doctor, and it definitely had that feel to it. There was some great... The strength of the episodes really were the moments of Susan as she was now. Of course, it's pre her Time War stuff, so she's not been signed up yet. I think that would have been interesting. That's the only thing I would have made it better. I think it would have been interesting if we kind of seen her conscription or something at the end to kind of tie her story together. Because at the moment, in terms of live action, acting things, that's kind of I know we had a short trip, but it's kind of missing in that sense. I know we did get a Minnesota prequel, didn't we, of her being conscripted, but it would have been nice to have had maybe the person she's speaking to is actually a Time Lord undercover, and that would have been interesting, I think. Now, for the highlight of the set, for me, because I love Season 3, and I love Stephen Taylor, and this was absolutely incredible. The White Ship. I am also a massive medieval history enthusiast, and the White Ship is one of those things, and the kind of mini Civil War that followed, something that I've been really interested in since I was about 9 or 10 when I first read about it. And that's what I love about the Hartnell era, that you kind of get these old textbook history stories, these kind of old school textbook, old history stories, and it's played so well, and again you feel immersed, and it brings the textbook to life. You get to know the future King Stephen and King Henry, and of course his son, who's kind of just in the history books. You don't feel you ever get to know the son. He's just someone who is almost meant to die in the White Ship so that Stephen can become king. He's kind of a plot point, whereas with this he's put front and centre, and finally you get to know him as a person. I think that's what Doctor Who does as a strength, is it takes the people in history who weren't the main characters, and it puts them front and centre where they should be, and explores them and brings them to vivid life, and you feel empathy with them, and it makes you read the story again and see it from a different perspective. I loved it, and obviously beautifully played, and Stephen Noonan is in it as the first Doctor and does a marvellous job. And that brings us to, for me, the hidden gem, actually. Let's just have a quick look. We got previous volumes. The Y Factor. So, as well as being a medieval history fan, I'm also an avid genealogist. And I recently had a Y DNA test. I've done several tests, mitochondrial, autosomal, xDNA as a part of the autosomal test. But I've also recently had a called the Big Y. So when I saw that, I was instantly thinking of DNA. And I thought, it's typical of me to kind of see family history everywhere. But no, I was right. It does refer to Y chromosome. What's interesting about this is it takes an interesting angle on the suffragette movement by displacing it to those younger women who were involved in it, and fast forwarding to a little bit later in life. It takes a true historical character who's actually, I believe, the writer's great-grandmother, who was a real historical figure. And I learned a lot from this story. It was also great to have a companion chronicle with Dodo front and centre, played by obviously Lauren Cornelius, who plays the plot wonderfully with Stephen Noonan on audio, and obviously we get Stephen Noonan in here giving another great performance as well. So for me, this was one of the gems. Actually, I wasn't expecting to enjoy it as much as I did. So there we have it. We've got Families. What did you think of this set? What would you like to see them do in future with this companion chronicle set? Would you want to see them do another second Doctor set next, or more First Doctor? Do you like the idea of having a linking theme with Families, or do you just want to see standalone stories? Do let me know in the comments below. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. Look forward to speaking to you soon.